What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Clowns podcast. I'm your host, Meej, and today we are breaking down the breaking news of LeVeon Bell signing with the Ravens. Now, this is the third ever emergency podcast, and before we begin, a statistic that is shown on my channel is that 80% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you could click that button and the notification bell next to it to know when I post, it'd be much appreciated. Leave a like, it helps the video, and let's begin. So, LeVeon Bell, former All-Pro running back, former first overall fantasy pick, signs with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, my immediate thoughts of this are, okay, this confirms that Gus Edwards is getting zero passing work and potentially zero third down work. And it also makes me think that LeVeon Bell is, now you may think I'm overreacting, but I think he could potentially win your league. Now, sure, it's going to take him a little bit to get to know the offense, and he did, and he has been playing a little bit worse since he took that year off, but as we know, we got to see if he's in football shape. We got to see what's going on with him, but I do think he's a low-risk, high-reward type of player. I mean, LeVeon Bell is he's a high football IQ. He's obviously incredibly athletic and gifted. He's a once-in-a-lifetime player. He's one of the best running backs of all time. And I think that him and this offense could gel quite nicely, and he could end up being a top 15 running back if all goes well. Now, I wouldn't expect much from him for like the first 2-ish weeks, because he's obviously got to get to know the offense. Like, situation similar to last season with Leonard Fournette, in which he wasn't really involved in the first 2 weeks, but then he obviously got quite a bit more work and gave Rojo a run for his money. But obviously things over there have changed a little bit. Rojo has secured the 1A over there, the job over there. And back to Le'Veon Bell, I'm actually very excited to see how this plays out, because obviously Le'Veon Bell is an incredibly amazing player, like I've said several times already in just this podcast. Now, we thought that Todd Gurley could potentially go to the Ravens, but obviously I'd consider Le'Veon Bell an upgrade over Todd Gurley, so there you go. What does this mean for Gus Edwards? I already said that it means that he won't be getting any pass work at all now, just because Le'Veon Bell is obviously incredibly gifted at receiving from the backfield, and I think this obviously caps Gus Edwards' upside to maybe 14 points a week. Now, I could see him getting like 70 yards and a touchdown occasionally, and he's obviously going to rumble down the field for some big plays, but I think that 14 points a week for like a high baseline that's still pretty good, but it caps his upside. He was being drafted in the 4th to 5th round as an RB2/1. I think that he's got to fall down to the around 7 or 8 range next to Damian Harris. I can't believe that Damian Harris is still going that low, to be honest. I mean, he's obviously going to get all the work there. Maybe not as much as receiving work as we'd like, but he's going to get all the goal line work, as I've said in the last podcast. But for Le'Veon Bell, if you're in a PPR league, I would pick him up. If you're in one of those budget leagues where you have like 500 fab to spend and on a waiver, I would spend about 10 to 15% on Le'Veon Bell. Like I said, he's a low-risk, high-reward type of guy that, in my opinion, could potentially win you your league this season. Obviously, if you fade running backs early in drafts and you're the type of guy to grab your running backs in like the 7th to like 13th round, draft Le'Veon Bell. Like, that's just a given. It's Le'Veon Bell. You want him on your RB2. He could potentially put up 220-plus fantasy points in PPR this season. That's how I feel about it. Like I said, Le'Veon Bell to the Ravens, I'd like to see how it plays out first. Don't expect much from him from the first 2 weeks, just to sum this up. I thank you all for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button and give this video a like to help the video and myself, and comment what you'd like to see next. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next time.